Hi everyone, welcome to Tony Fox Tarot. Thanks for joining me today and great to have you with me. Today we are looking at your workplace situation. So we're going to dive in at the deep end and get an understanding as to what's going on for you, identifying any issues, and most importantly, looking at a timeline as to where this is all going and what the outcome is actually going to be. So lots to get into. And before we get started, if you want to go down below and hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. Please like and share this video where you can. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Now, before you on the screen, we've got 4 different cards to choose from. And the idea is to choose a card that resonates with you really clearly. Once you've made that choice, that will be your reading. It's perfectly fine to choose more than one card if it comes through really strongly for you. And just remember, this is a general reading, so take what resonates and leave behind anything that doesn't. Okay, so we've got card number 1, card number 2, card number 3, and card number 4. Taking a moment to be with the cards, drawing in a nice deep breath, and as you release the breath, listening to your intuition, your inner voice, the energy of the cards. Which of these comes through for you the strongest? Is it card 1, card 2, card 3, or card 4? Down below, there are 4 different timestamps representing each of these different cards. If you'd like to go to the one that you've chosen, I'll see you in a moment. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 1. This is your reading and we're looking at your workplace situation today. So let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on. I'm going to start up here with the Chariot and the 4 of Pentacles. I felt it was a really good place to start with you and also the historical perspective or point of view in terms of your workplace. Very driven to succeed is what I get. I get a person who really has it together, very professionally minded, very success orientated, very results based. I think you set your mind to do a task and you just get it. You get the job done. You don't mess about. You don't waste any time with politics or drama or small talk. You're not invested in that way at all. For you, it's very much hands-on and just trying to constructively actually apply yourself in a way that gets you results. I think you're very good at what you do. I think you work very hard. You push yourself to achieve. I think you're enticed by money. I think you're very financially focused, that you want to carve out a direction, or you have wanted to carve out a direction that has been based on your talent, on your expertise, on your ability. I feel like you came into this workplace very much focused on the money, very, very focused on performance and the rewards that would actually get you. So I feel like there was some sort of enticement to get you in through the door. It's been like a carrot that's been held to, dangled in front of you to kind of, get you in and to use your talent. I think, you were employed very much based on what it was that you were actually capable of doing. I feel like you're a leader. Like of somebody who actually takes the lead very naturally. But you're smarter than that. You're not going just to you're not going to give it away. I feel that you are somebody who has been working in a role that has been about taking the lead and forging things ahead in a way that actually successfully departs from how things were when you actually signed up for the deal, put it that way. Very solid performance, very money orientated. I think, like your reputation is really important to you. And also you're very much into developing your skill set and your experiences. You're not one to sit around on your hands. You're definitely somebody who mucks in and actually you're not afraid to get your hands dirty. So you're hands on. Down here to the Tower and the 5 of Pentacles, I felt the place that you're working in now. When you first, and I just want to say, I felt like you'd actually been in this role for quite a while, so maybe 3 or 4 years. If it's not that long, it feels like you have done a lot within this role that kind of, it feels like you've been there for a long time, in terms of what you've achieved. But for many of you, I felt that you had actually been here for a substantial amount of time, that you'd really established yourself, and that you'd actually successfully achieved many of the goals, or all of the goals that you'd set out to do. Back down here to the Tower, Five of Pentacles. I felt when you got into this workplace organization, people were leaving or things were falling apart. It just felt very destabilized. Lots of toxic workplace practices. The environment at large, I feel, was very... There was just like a lack of morale or a lack of camaraderie, a lack of focus. I kind of feel maybe as an organization, for some of you, that this organization could have been falling apart, quite literally. And so they were looking to recruit people like you who could bolster, like a new way of doing things. I felt that you saw opportunity when you came to this workplace. You saw opportunity that said, I could shine here. You know, I think you understood what you were buying into, what you were getting yourself into, what you were committing to, but you saw opportunity in that there was a silver lining in this. It's like, I'm not going to buy into the can't do. The only way is up. That's what I get with this one. But I felt like for many other people that this would have been an undesirable place to work. Yeah, so I kind of feel like, you know, you kind of hit the ground running in terms of making changes, or at least you have been a person who has had a really positive influence in terms of your stability, your core values in the workplace are very professionally set. So it's very can-do attitude. I felt that this workplace environment has really soaked up that constructive perspective. I felt like many of the negative types of people that were there and many of the negative practices that were going on, they had left or been absorbed into more constructive ways of doing things. So I think it's actually been like a really positive period of time in terms of your own sense of achievement. It's like, wow, I've been a part of something that's actually helped to kind of, you've helped to make changes. You've helped to put things on track. You've helped to push forward, practices that are achieved, like success orientated. Down here to Judgment and the Seven of Swords, I felt that things had changed. There'd been a big shift. Either there's been a change of management, or management has gone back to doing things how it was that they were being done before. I feel that there is something really dodgy here for me. I just felt like, and I felt like it came from the top. There's something about the way that things are being done. It's like, it just feels like it's not above board. Maybe, and I felt like you were being forced to do things that weren't comfortable, maybe ethically or morally or even legally. It's kind of like, you know, either they're brushing things under the carpet, or they're asking you kind of, you know, straight out to do things that just, you know, are not acceptable, but which they want you to hide. Yeah, it's like they want you to be a part of what's wrong. That's what I felt. I felt like there was a lot of pressure to do that. It's like, are you in or are you out? And if you're out, you're out. You know, like like you're not working here anymore. I felt like this was there was a bit of a zombie attitude as well. It's very subservient, kind of Walking Dead. Okay, just go along with it. Go along with that flow. That's what's expected of you. It's like, you know, you came here to shine and to set an example, and now you're actually being asked to do something really the opposite. Yeah, you've been asked to dull down, and this is certainly not the example that you want to lead by. I felt that there was no room for independent thinking, and that, you know, if you showed initiative or questioned the dodginess or the unethical, immoral nature of what was being done, like, it's like, you know, you would be set apart and focused on in a way that alienated you. There's a lot of projecting going on here. So in many ways, I feel like, you know, like the workplace environment is kind of going back to what it was when you first got there. So everything you've been working to change is now set to kind of go back to what it was based on the core of what's going on in this organization. And the toxicity for me feels like it's actually institutionalized. It's like right at the top, right at the core, you know? Brings me up here to the Hermit and the Two of Swords. I felt like, you know, you're at a point now, currently, where it's just like, oh, you know, I feel like I've come to a dead end, you know, like I'm at a stalemate. Like, you know, they're not going to listen to me. It's not a two-way street. It's all one way. It's about what they want, how they want it. And it blocks you from being able to see a way forward or to have a future here. It's like, what do I do next? Where do I go? Which way do I turn? And I felt like there's no buzz left either. It's like, you know, all that success orientated buzz that you had when you came, the pulse that you felt, the life that you were giving into this organization, it's like it's all gone. It's all dried up. There's no fulfillment left. I felt as an organization, you know, they weren't listening to you. They weren't hearing you. They weren't seeing you. They didn't understand your concerns. I also felt that they weren't validating you, and I felt that was actually very much about the historic reference of everything that you've done. You know, so all of the achievements that you've actually accomplished, like all of the success that you've breathed into this organization, all of the amazing things that you've established, it's like they're not looking at that. They're not validating that. They're not actually recognizing what you've done, who it is that you are, what it is that you're capable of doing. It's almost like they don't see a place for that kind of thinking and doing anymore, you know, which goes completely against the grain of who it is that you are as a person. I come over here to Justice and the Eight of Cups. I felt that in terms of the outcome with this particular role, I felt that the lack of validation and investment in you, the lack of developmental opportunity, the fact that this organization or these people have it's like they've turned their back on you, yeah? And that it's an unfair situation that is essentially wasting your time and has been for quite some time now. I think it's the recognition that it's not going to go anywhere and that you don't have any more time to waste. And that as much as it is unfair and that it's very difficult to accept that you're not going to get the recognition that you deserve, that you actually are better off calling it for what it is and making a judgment and moving on. So it's time to leave. And I can see why that might be really difficult at this point in time to get your head around, because I think I get a sense that you're really holding out for the validation of everything that you've done. I think my feeling is that you've really invested yourself into what it is that you have achieved. You know, because you are so success orientated, I think it's very difficult for you to let go and to admit defeat at some point. But I don't feel like you've been defeated. I just feel that what you're wanting versus what is going on at a core level here, they're two different things. There's you, and then there's this organization. And what you wanted, what you were promised, what you achieved in the beginning, that's all changed now. And so it's like, you know, it's recognizing that your time's done, you know, that you are better off moving on. Down here to the Sun and the Eight of Pentacles, it's like, yes, okay, so in terms of a future outcome with where things are going with your workplace, with your work, there's plenty of fish in the sea here. I felt that there was a marketplace that was thirsty, that had or hungry, or that had an appetite for exactly the kind of person who it is that you are. Success orientated, can-do attitude, forging ahead with a constructive focus that's very professional. You're somebody who wants to get in, muck in, get your hands dirty. You take ownership over what it is that you do. There's a million roles that are just begging to have somebody exactly like who it is that you are. It's about accepting that you've reached a limitation and that you have to let go. It's about putting your hand up and saying that you're ready to move on. That's what this is about. It's about doing what you're good at doing, which is taking ownership. Yeah. I felt setting up either being in an organization that was about setting things up or putting things on track in a way that got things up and running, or working in your own business was about the future for you. Yeah. Hands-on, putting things on track, taking ownership. Taking ownership in the business sense, but also, tasks in the direction of, because you're so invested in what you do, it's very hard for you not to become a part of the totality of any organization. So for me, I felt that the long-term future success for you was very much about owning your own business, or doing your own thing in terms of consultancy or freelance, like the ability to be able to make ultimate decisions that were for the betterment of what you were doing, and also for yourself, in a way where you didn't get drained by the politics, the emotional drama, the game playing, the lack of constructive focus. It's like you need to be able to be selective about all of that in a way that actually suits you, because if you are in a place that has all of that going on, it doesn't really do anything other than sort of, sink you, or pull you back in a way that ultimately goes against the grain of what it is that you're all about. So I felt within the next month to 2 months, there were definitely a role that would actually come up for you that would be really, really suited to you. But in terms of the longer term, I felt within the next year, there was at least 3 to 4 job offers that would come through that would actually give you like a really snug suitability, and that you actually had a choice of, in terms of a shortlist, you had a really good choice to be able to move forward and to reinvest yourself into a future that actually gave you constructive purpose. I don't feel this reading is about your confidence to move on and about like a lack of availability in terms of job roles. For me, this is about letting go and recognizing that your time is done here. Like, I hope your reading has made some sense to you, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of info there about me, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much, and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 2. This is your reading, and we are looking at what's going on in your work situation today. So let's jump on in and have a look and see what's going on here with these cards. And I'm drawn up here to strengthen the Page of Cups, and I felt a very creatively inspirational person, somebody who had raw talent. I felt that talent fed into a focus of people, maybe entertaining people, creatively inspiring people. I felt like you had a gift, you had something to say of yourself, that you harnessed a talent or a force that, when put to use, was something that was really in demand. Like it's something that people want to see, want to be a part of. It's like, you either channel a voice, or you channel a creative force that really inspires other people. I felt enormous strength in the kind of person that you were. I felt that this is a calling. It's not a vocation. It's not a job that you wake up one day and you decide to do. There's something about what it is that you do, what it is that you harness, that is very much just a part of your blood, like it's in you. And so you don't really have a choice other than to respond to the calling. I get a very flamboyant character, very entertaining. You really know how to read a room. You know how to read people. You know how to psych in or link into an audience that needs to hear or feel what it is that you actually have to convey to them. And I felt I felt the inspiration comes through very strongly here. It's like, you're very good at sort of being on your feet, thinking on your feet, responding on your feet in a way that just kind of, it's in the moment, Don't get me wrong, because at the same time, I feel there is a formality to this as well, that you are bolstered by an understanding or a learning or a craft, I feel that you have come up through this creative opportunity in a way to portray or showcase your talent. And I felt that this kind of work required you to be very flexible in terms of how you worked in this field. And I think that can be very difficult because on the one hand, you can't commit long term to any one particular thing. And perhaps also the work is often too short. Do you understand what I'm saying? It kind of runs in a way where you just have to be in the moment to kind of pick up what's going on. And so there's a lot of free-forming here based on your inspiration, based on the nature of the work, based on your talent, yeah? But as far as the workplace structure is concerned, I felt that was a very free-forming nature, so it's constantly changing and you have to change with it. Coming down here to the Hangman and the Ace of Swords, I feel there's a lot of sacrifices that have to be made in order to upkeep this, to maintain this. And I think sometimes it can be very demanding of you. It's very all or nothing kind of work. I felt it can be like quite a brutal game in terms of what you have to do and be in order to survive in this area. You really have to muster up your wits. You have to have your wits about you because it's quite cutthroat. Yeah, really sorts out who's got the talent, who doesn't have the talent. It really gets down to the bone of it. And you have to have your wits about you in order to be able to play the game. And I think when it gets really hard, as in, when you're sort of, this could be so many things, like it could be, an entertainer. It could be some sort of creative field in terms of, fine arts or maybe something to do with, look, it could be anything that draws from a creative inspiration. So very, very broad spectrum there. But so I'll leave that for you to kind of identify with. But I just felt that it's very demanding because it's just not normal work like most people would actually think in terms of like a 9-to-5 job that actually has a regular structure and pay. And I feel that combined with the fact that there's a lot of rejection here. I feel like there's a lot of rejection. And you have to keep refocused in terms of what that means in your mind, because if you let it get to you, it can be your downfall. So very brutal, and you have to have your wits about you, and you have to stay focused, and you have to hold out for the next break is what I get. And I kind of feel in some ways that's where you're at the moment. It's just like holding out for that next break, and you're getting tired of waiting for that to happen. And there's a strong contemplate, very much in your headspace, contemplating is this really what I want to be doing? I've taken so many knocks. I feel bruised. It's a struggle at times. I have to make so many sacrifices to do this, and there's never any guarantees. And although I know that I have this talent, I just don't know if I can keep on playing the game. If I come up here to the Hermit and the 8 of Wands, this is more historical. It's like, what's led you up to this particular point it's constantly having to go with the flow of work, yeah? Holding out for a steady stream or flow of work that is never reliable. I feel that you have had long periods of work, but it's never been fully reliable. And there's a sense here that you've constantly worked the sources of that employment. those streams of employment. You're constantly digging, pushing, and maintaining these connections, these links that keep it all going. It's like, you're constantly having to keep on top of that as well as do the work that you're doing. And I think that's actually hugely draining. So there's a sense here of, like, I need to keep on top of it. I need to massage what's going on in a way that, keeps it all coming through. It's kind of like, apologies for the analogy, but it's kind of like milking a cow in some ways. You have to keep at it to keep it going. Otherwise it just, it turns off the stream. And I feel like you've actually been really successful with it, actually. I think you've kept it going for a really long period of time, and you've actually maintained one work stream after the other. But if we come down here to the Tower and the Two of Wands, the difficulty here, what underpins this is these sources are totally unreliable. And at the same time, you're watching other people who are doing what it is that you're doing fall and fail, And there's just like there's zero security in this, is what I felt. You're kind of going from one day to the next, and you're unable to plan your future, yeah? So it's very dynamic. It's a very dynamic way of living that fits in line with the sense of it being a calling, because you really have to listen to your instincts. You have to really believe in yourself, and you're constantly being tested as to whether this is really what it is that you want. And I kind of feel that that's very much what where you're at now. It's one moment to the next, one job to the next. I think there's been an enormous amount of growth for you, but there's nothing bankable about this. So from a practical level, in terms of putting money in the bank, saving for a deposit on a house, getting good credit, all that sort of stuff, it's really tricky. You're kind of having to string things together in a way that doesn't make sense to other people, because not everybody can do this. I think that, this really weeds out who is capable and who wants it, and who doesn't. So I think there's been an enormous amount of contemplation based on all of your past experiences to this particular point. Coming over here to Judgment and the Four of Cups, I felt this is kind of like an outcome as to, it's like a sum total of everything that's happening. It gets to a point where it's like, you're constantly trying to make sense of it, really. But you can never make sense of it because it doesn't add up. It doesn't add up to, I guess, a reliable, hasn't to this point added up into a reliable source of income or source of work so that you can relax and just take it for granted. And I think you're going to get to a point where you're really exhausted about this, and you're having to make some really tough decisions about whether this is really what you want or not. Judgment, it's all about making decisions based on your past experiences. It's pulling out the big guns, having a really big look at what it is that's going on here, and sort of saying to yourself, can I keep on doing this? Because I'm absolutely fed up with it. Four of Cups, it's just like I'm just one situation after another that's been less than satisfactory. And at the end of the day, I really want to reach the summit. I want to get to that point of total recognition, and I want validation for that. So there's a lot of reactions going on to what it is that you think that you're not getting, and I felt, a big part of that was that you're always dancing to somebody else's tune. All these opportunities seem to be different but the same. And I think you're just getting burnt out or tired from the constant pressure that you're under to have to rise up above how it is that you really feel. And then it's this total recognition, okay, as to what I was saying to you before, as to understanding the nature of your work, that it's not a regular job, that it's not something that you can really make sense of. Logic doesn't fit with this, yeah, because it's a calling. It's in your blood. It's not a choice. It's actually about being the person that you are, because that's actually what you were born to be. And if you wanted a regular job, then the choice would not to be that person. You would have to be something else. And I don't think that that's such a bad thing. So what I'm trying to say to you is that I feel the pressure here. I see your talent, your ability to be who it is that you are and more. But I see the unreliable, unsupported nature of the work in a way that is building pressure to get you to a point to recognize that you're either in or you're out, and you have to make that decision based on your understanding of yourself. You can't look for that externally. You have to keep on believing in you. And if we come up here to the Sun and the Nine of Pentacles, I feel it's understanding that you'll never make sense of it. But it's also, I'm talking about a future outcome that kind of builds on what I've just discussed here in terms of getting to that breaking point almost. It's recognizing upon reflection that you actually have continuity here, that you've established your talent, and that is actually evidenced by the fact that you have constantly sourced work. And although that's been difficult and kept you on your toes, you know, you've delivered each and every time. You've massaged this in a way where there has been continuity. But I feel moving into the future, and this is really coming over the next 5 years, yeah, that those hard efforts are going to begin to pay off in a way where your talent blossoms and flourishes in a way that becomes more effortless. I felt that opportunities were going to come your way, building on one after the other, moving forwards. That you're entering into like an area of new terrain where there's more reliable income, more reliable long-term work, and that this kind of gains momentum in a way where it builds on one opportunity after another. And as a consequence of that, you begin to build a platform of solid bankable income that builds up over time. So things are really set to change here in terms of, I guess, almost like a transformative dynamic experience. That I feel like what I'm trying to say here is that you've done the hard yards and you're at a point now where you have to make a decision as to whether you're in or you're out, based on whether you really want this. And moving forward, it's a recognition that you don't have to keep on doing it the way that you've been doing it. Opportunities are going to come to you because you've evidenced yourself in a way where you've actually built a solid reputation. And that there is a demand for your craft, a demand for people who can deliver solidly the way that you can. So opportunities are there, and the terrain will change, but you have to make a decision one way or the other as to whether you're in or you're out here. Look, I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe, tap on the bell icon, that'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. There's plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 3. This is your reading, and we are looking at what's going on at work for you, what's happening in this workplace situation. So we've got some cards on the table. Let's jump in and have a look and see what's going on. I'm going to come up here to Temperance and the Six of Swords. And I felt there's been a relationship fallout at work or in the workplace. It's been a very important working relationship that has come off track, and it feels like you're not talking. It feels like you've come to some kind of an impasse, that you've reached a situation where you're unable to work things out between each other. And no matter how much you go over things, it just doesn't seem to sit right with you or the other person. And collectively, you can't find a way forward that actually gets balanced to what's going on. So very much embroiled in a situation. I feel like this has been dragging out for quite a long time. It's really very slow, and at times a bit torturous because you can't avoid each other. I feel like this relationship is very integral to your workplace situation. It's almost like the two of you have to work together or deal with each other in a way where it's unavoidable, and that's really difficult because each and every time you actually have to go in and do your job, you're kind of faced with this situation that stares at you in the face, really. I felt possibly that you had some kind of a personal relationship with this person. Maybe that's to do with the fact that you're sort of working so closely together and you've knitted together an understanding of each other. But for some people, it might be that you're actually friends outside of work as well. There's definitely a connection there that sort of sees each other on a personal level. Definitely going over and over and over things, but I feel like you're not talking. It's like if it's to do with work, it's just transactional, and you're not talking to each other in any way that sort of says, "Hello, how are you?" I think there might be a formality, but you're not interested to know how this person is. Put it that way. I felt that accumulatively there were just one too many issues that have built up over time, and that there was one specific thing that's happened it's like the straw that broke the camel's back for you. And I feel like this has caused a big impact on you in terms of going into work every day and having to face this. And it's very, very difficult, but I think it's also just as difficult for the other person. But I felt it had a wider impact than that. I felt that this fallout is something that everybody else has seen. There's something a little bit public about it. I felt like other people have seen it or they know about it. It's like you can't hide what's going on. A lot of that's to do with the way that you actually are transacting with each other. It's like you've kind of gone from being really friendly and amicable to just like steering clear of each other at every possible opportunity. So other people are talking about it. Other people have seen it. And you're working very differently now with each other. You're working around each other. Lots of workarounds to get the job done. And I think that that's problematic because you're supposed to work together in some way or shape or form. So it makes things so much more difficult. So from a productivity point of view, from an efficiency point of view, from an emotional point of view, it's just really tricky to navigate. So I feel like you're embroiled in this situation. I feel like other people have become involved. Excuse me. I feel like other people have become involved in a way where they're trying to, in a very friendly, informal way, trying to steer the both of you towards, like a resolution. I feel like there's been, one or more attempts from maybe one or more people to achieve that, but it hasn't been successful. So there's a big impact. Very unhealthy situation is what I felt. Come down here to the Tower and the Knight of Swords. I felt this was a really good place to start with you in terms of, how this underpins, how your perspective underpins the situation. I feel like you are somebody who takes, it's like you're a slow burn in terms of getting angry. I think it takes a lot for you to get to a place where you spill over. But when you do, you really go there, and it takes you a very long time to simmer down and to get to a cool place, yeah? I feel like you're piping hot on this. It's like there's a lot of anger, seething. I feel like you feel livid about what it is that this person's done or the situation, yeah? I felt like you had told this person what you thought of them, that you've been very verbal, and that you haven't held back. And I felt that in terms of highlighting the problem between you and them, that it was you that instigated this in a way where you're saying, I can't do this anymore. This doesn't work for me. And I just get a sense it's really difficult for you to calm down about this. You're very in your head about it, going back and forth, trying to sort of think things over and kind of reliving the multiple or collective experiences that are really pushed you over the edge, so you're kind of constantly reliving the things that trigger you, yeah? And I think for you, it's like a situation where you can't go back. There's no clawing back anything here. It's like it's out in the open. You've said what you've said, and you mean what you've said. And you're also saying, I can't work like this anymore, So, it's like, I think what I feel here is you're saying that it's not your problem, that it's this person's problem. You've spelt it out to them. And it's really got under your skin in a way where I feel that you can't see or find any forgiveness or understanding even about this person. And I think the really negative effect here is that it's destabilized your workplace situation, your role, your position, in a way that you're sort of thinking about leaving because you can't work like this anymore. Yeah, this is really difficult, very tricky stuff. I've already come up to here, to the Fool and the Queen of Wands, and I felt, historically speaking, I'm looking at this other person and I can see that this is somebody who is very different to you, always tripping up, always making mistakes, lots of risky behavior with this person. They don't step up at a professional level to take on the full responsibility. This is somebody who is a bit half-hearted. They're not so serious with their job. I think, there are days or there are moments, there are times where they're just doing their job, but it's just enough to get it over the line. So like the focus isn't fully there on 100%. Yeah, it's like there's sporadic moments of just doing the job because you have to do it. I feel like this person skives off, like they're looking for an opportunity to kind of get away from work at every moment, whether that's actually about going to the lunchroom or gossiping with somebody else or distracting themselves on their phone or looking on the internet or just basically doing anything else but that kind of really focusing on the task at hand. It's like their eye isn't on the ball, and their work can be very sloppy as well. That's what I felt with this person. There's always a distraction going on with them. I felt the other thing about them is that there was this because of this inconsistency, their behavior is very random. And it can be really annoying because they're always looking to divert their attention into some other thing other than the responsibility of the task at hand to get the job done. This person isn't career focused at all, and they create a lot of risk based on the type of personality that they are and the way that they actually do their job. I think they're constantly pushing things close to an edge where their quality of work becomes either really questionable or it puts other people at risk. And because you're working so closely, I think that this is really difficult for you. Because you're in there sort of, that field of resonance you're within sort of, spitting distance of the mistakes that have an impact on you because you work closely together. I felt that was a big part of this. It's because you're almost reliant on this other person in a way where their job is integral to your job. So if they're making mistakes and they're not doing their job properly, it has an impact on how you can do your job and maybe shows you up in a bad light. They're not picking. I think the thing for me is that they're just not thinking about the bigger picture. They're just thinking about themselves, moment to moment. It's almost like they don't want to be there half the time. Coming down here to the Sun and the Queen of Pentacles, and I felt this was historically looking at you in contrast with this other person. It's like, you're the complete opposite to this person. Steadfast, professional, business-minded. You like continuity and you like predictability. I think I think the thing for me is that I feel like perhaps you've been there longer than this person, or if that's not the case, it's like you work in a very different way that is very much about establishing a foundation that's about your reputation. So it's about quality work. I think that makes you happy. I think you like to get the job done properly. You're very invested in the work that you do. So you have a professional focus that is very committed to getting results. I think you're patient and you have a long-term view. It's the complete opposite to this other person. I felt that you came to this role with a successful, solid performance that and that you've built on that since you've been here, whilst you've been in this role. It's like you've carefully established your reputation. I think your reputation is very important to you, and this person poses a lot of risk to that. I feel like you're always working to mitigate against any risk, and because stability is everything for you. And I felt like you'd actually been really happy in your role. And even while this other person has kind of been there, I think you've made a lot of concessions. I think you've given this person a lot of leeway. Actually, if anything, I think you've put a lot of nurturing into this person. Maybe you've even seen them as somebody who you need to kind of mentor or guide through, or to show the ropes. I kind of feel like you have a strong sense of identity and a strong sense of self. And you're thinking about the bigger picture. So you can see that this person's a bit flighty, yeah, a bit reactive. That they're not as invested in things as you, and perhaps you've actually been very patient with this person in a way where you've actually really tried to steer them in a direction that actually gets the best possible result for them. Yeah, definitely. Where's this all going? That's what we want to know. Coming up here to the Emperor and the Ace of Wands, I felt that a lot of the stress that you've been feeling is definitely warranted, because I can see how this impacts on you in such a negative way, and I can see that you're very much in your head about what's going on, but I felt that there were good things to come. I feel like this person has been very confronted by what's happened in a way where they can't see how things will resolve either. And my sense is that, that they will step up to achieve some kind of success that is very ambitiously focused, but I didn't feel that that was in the workplace working with you. I felt that this person would look to a new job and that they'd had enough and that it was time for them to go. I feel like what's very important here is that, with the Emperor, it's very much about management and mentorship and literally your boss. I felt that somebody was going to step in here in a way that was much more formal, that this person would be managed, mentored, or focused upon in a way that gave them a helping hand to steer them towards the best possible outcome for themselves. So rather than going down this kind of very formal, I guess, retaliatory, way of doing things, I feel that there is a bit of sort of, I guess, paternal nurturing that's going on here, for want of a better word. I kind of felt like management or that kind of masculine structure of it could also be somebody who is masculine. That could be a man or a woman or an anybody. I just felt that there was a firm guiding hand that came in to help this person to focus on moving forward into a new beginning, and that it was really about putting their best interests at hand in a way that helps them to develop into the next step, so that they could actually move on in a way that actually was really helpful for them, but also helpful for you and within the business or the organization that you're working in. So I felt a push for them to kind of like go out the front door and to go into a new role. This may be that the organization that you're working for gives them a helping hand to find them a new job, or supports them in a way that kind of gives them some sort of notice that helps them to basically, or manages them towards this kind of an outcome. I felt a new job was in the balance. I felt a new beginning for this person, that they would leave. And if I come down here to the Hierophant and the Four of Wands, it kind of leaves you in the balance of where things have been at. It's like, okay, I feel here with the Hierophant, definitely like a management debriefing, with you and them in a way that looks to understand where you're at and what you're doing. It might be that people know that you've been thinking about leaving, or that at least you're very unhappy. And I felt that there would be a recognition of your hard work and your fruitful efforts based on your historic evidence. And that there would be supportive words, supportive actions. That management were very keen to rebalance the situation in a way that made you happy. So this could be about an opportunity for reward financially, in terms of maybe some kind of recognition to kind of sort of, or enticement to stay. It could be about restructuring how it is that you work in a way that gives you, I guess, like a carrot to kind of to stay and to work towards. But I felt more fundamentally that this was very much about rebalancing the way the previous role worked with this other person. That it's a mindfulness that the next person who comes in through the door has to fit snugly with the same kinds of values and practices as the organization, but also that fits in line with you and how it is that you work. Okay? So I felt like active resolution was taking place here in a way that was really about getting you to stay and recognizing that you've had a really tough time here. So from I guess from a reconciliation point of view, I feel like this is a really good outcome, and that there's some really good things to work towards by just holding your ground. And I think the only thing I'll probably say here is just to kind of like to maybe to pull in the anger and to kind of keep that to yourself. It's like it's okay to kind of let off some steam, but not sustainably in a way where you're kind of constantly going on with a gripe. Nobody wants to be around that negative vibe. So I would say you're moving towards a really good outcome here that gives you a lot to work with. Look, I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of info about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care. Hi everyone, welcome to card number 4. This is your reading, and we are looking at what's going on in your workplace, your workplace situation. Cards are on the table, so let's jump on in and have a look and see what's going on. And I'm drawn over here to Temperance and the Page of Swords. I thought this was a really good place to start in terms of the past. I feel like you've entered into a workplace arrangement or a job that you've been trying to make work. I feel like there's been a lot of doubts around this and that it hasn't been easy going. You know, like you haven't hit the ground running. I feel like there's a lot of complications with, and also some outstanding issues that need to be addressed in terms of moving forward. I feel like you're constantly on edge here. There's an uneasiness about what you're dealing with to try and get things up and running. I felt this had something to do with a workplace personality, another person. Somebody who themselves seems to be very on edge, and there's a nagging thing going on here. I feel like this person's constantly questioning you, always looking at what you're doing in a way where they're casting doubt upon it. And perhaps also, I think it's almost like a lack of belief in you. It's a lack of belief in the working relationship that you have with this person. And I kind of feel like things have gotten off to a really bad start in a way where it's kind of, it's established shaky ground. And I think the two of you have tried to figure things out, but this person doesn't seem to be able to get over themselves in a way where they can confidently work with you. There's almost like a questioning mistrust going on here in terms of their understanding of who it is that you are, what is it you're really about. I kind of feel like this person's on the back foot. There's an insecurity here that makes for the whole situation to be really doubtful. You know, there's a lack of confidence, a lack of trust, a lack of stability, an uneasiness, you know. It's complicated. What I'm trying to say is this for me feels like a complex personality that can be really problematic. And I think by contrast, you're a very different person. If I look down here to the Chariot and the 7 of Pentacles, I feel like you are at the polar opposite. Yeah. I feel that, you know, there was some really serious consideration coming into this role about the direction that this would take you. I don't think that you're somebody who goes hard left or hard right very easily. I think that you're very focused on the success of your career in a way where any kind of consideration to start a new role or to go in a new direction really is very, very much about building on top of established success. And I feel like you've pulled away from something that was already very established and successful within its own right. So I feel like this was a big move, like a big change for you. You know, you were barreling down a direction that actually already had great momentum, and I think you were heading in a great look. I don't think it really matters which way that was going, because at the end of the day, you've made the decision to be where you are, and I feel like you did that in a way that was very seriously considered. It's like, okay, if I do this, you know, this adds a strength to my bow. Sure, it's a big change. I'm going to break the momentum, but at the same time, there's an enormous amount of potential here in terms of growth and reward. And I feel like this role has fit into your criteria in terms of a logical next step. It's almost like this was a no-brainer, really. I also feel that you've got a very straightforward way of looking at things. You're very success orientated. You focus on the task at hand and you get the job done very efficiently. I don't feel that you're somebody who becomes overly emotionally invested in what you do. I think that there is a professional minded, you're very geared towards doing things in a way that is efficient. Yeah. And I felt that you had already considered the potential of something like this happening. I think this is a part of the consideration of you making changes, is that perhaps things won't go according to plan. If I come up here to the Devil and the Ace of Cups, I feel this further expands on this personality that I was identifying earlier on. I feel as time has marched on that this is kind of compounded into a situation that's become really problematic with this person. It's like they're stopping you from getting to where you need to be in some ways. They're certainly stopping you from enjoying what it is that you're doing. This person is making it almost a bit personal, there's something very two-faced about this person. What you see is not what you get. I think the outward intent and the inner motivation are completely different. They're not reconciled in any way, shape, or form. This person is saying great things at the moment. I think building on this history of doubt, I feel almost like this is a new beginning of some sorts between the two of you. Perhaps you've actually had to address some of these outstanding issues. Or perhaps it's just gotten to a point where it's become so uncomfortable that you're mirroring back to this person in a way that forces them to look at themselves. And I think that might be really quite uncomfortable. So I do feel like things have gotten to a point where it is a new beginning and this person is making gestures. They kind of, outwardly, they're kind of like, yeah, it's all cool, it's all good, it's great to be with you. It's, like putting on all the niceties and kind of buttering you up on one level. But underneath that, very different feel, very different vibe. This is somebody who can be quite unpredictable. I think that they can throw curveballs that are uncomfortable. I think they put people on edge. This is a very insecure person. I kind of feel like this is somebody who is very needy, who soaks up a lot of attention, who needs a lot of work to bring on board and to deal with anything really. And I felt that they could be over the top, so 1 minute they're kind of being quite sort of mistrustful, maybe a bit bitchy or a little bit kind of, I don't know, small-minded even, and the next it's like they're being completely over the top, apologizing and being really nice and trying to overcompensate at the other end of the spectrum. And so this person is just so mistrustful, very problematic. I feel very over the top. I felt they're a big personality, not for obvious reasons. They're a big personality in that they are very needy, in that they need a lot of attention. They need a lot of work. You're constantly having to get them on board with things. You're constantly having to iron out certain issues. And it's actually all about them. Everything comes back to them. And by contrast, you're the complete opposite to that. You're nuts and bolts. You're there to get the job done. You're not there to be caught up in the small talk. In the coming down here to the Magician and the Five of Cups, I felt this underpinned where things are at for you at this particular moment in time. I feel like you're motivated to get over it. I feel like within your career or within your professional experience, you've dealt with a lot of people like this before. I feel that you're a loner, you're somebody who is really good at working on their own, and you will work with other people if you have to, but you need things to be compartmentalized in a way where you actually have your space to get on with the job. I think you can see beyond the disappointment of this not going so well, and that you're just not buying into what essentially is like the manipulation of this other person. And I feel that you're at a point where it's like you're saying to yourself, well, I'm going to take control in my own way. I'm going to work very independently within this framework. I'm going to be upfront on the level and just mirror back to them, which is what I was saying to you before. Because this isn't about me, this is actually about them. I feel like you know yourself very well, and that you know this situation in a way where you're able to objectively put things into perspective so that you don't lose too much to it. But where it's really problematic is that you have to deal with this person on a day-to-day level. I feel like this person is somehow integral to what it is that you're doing. You're having to deal with this person. Maybe you're collaborating with them, working with them, or having to go through them to do certain things. It could be in any context. I kind of feel like this person has a closeness to you, so they're kind of working close by, or there's somebody you're constantly having to deal with. There's a lot going on there, but you're very capable. You're a very capable individual, and I feel that in many ways this reading is less about how it is to deal with this person and more about for you. It's more about what is the outcome in terms of your potential success. And I feel that actually it's really well indicated. If we come up here to the world and the King of Pentacles, I felt moving forward into the future that this person would kind of get over themselves to some degree, because they're kind of forced into a corner where they've been shown up. I feel like you've done that. You've shown them up by mirroring back to them. They've got nobody who's so you're not buying into the game here. You're not playing their game, and so that kind of puts them on the back foot. And I feel like the way that they'll deal with that is to overcompensate with an egotistical nature, really. They'll always want to be on top, they'll always want to be in control. They'll always want to have the last word. And I felt a lot of what you'll need to do here in the future is actually manage their insecurity, manage their fragility. But I felt that there would be a successful collaboration that would give you fruitful outcomes in terms of getting to where you wanted to be in this particular role, getting the outcome that you really wanted that bypasses this person as best as you actually can. I feel like you'll still have to deal with them. They're not going anywhere, they're staying where they are. But in many ways, it's just kind of like navigating their personality in a very logical, no-nonsense way. I felt in some context that whatever the success was that you would derive, that somehow this person would want to kind of be a part of that. That they want to, it's almost like they want to hog the limelight. They want to take all of the credit. They want it to actually, because it's always about them. They always want it to be all about them. But I felt that was like, again, this small-mindedness. I mean, it's almost like you just let them have that, because really the success beyond that is so much bigger in terms of what it will actually do for you. And I felt that the success that you would actually gain would be, it'd be great for your CV. It would earn you credit. You're getting brownie points for what it is that you're doing here. And I felt that other people would look on and see what it is that you had to deal with in terms of this particular personality. And, it would be full kudos. It would actually give you a lot in terms of heightening your reputation and stepping you up to actually look at new opportunities that are perhaps I'll come more to that in a second. If we come down here to the Fool and the Six of Cups, I felt what was key in terms of advice for this reading is, the success is really about giving this person a very wide berth. Don't buy into the drama. And you've got to bear in mind that this person can never be trusted, okay? Keep your hand close to your chest. Play strategically. Always be aware that this person is going to throw you a curveball wherever possible. The neediness it goes beyond anything rational, right? So keep your wits about you. I felt that once you'd achieved what you'd set out to do in this particular role or with this particular objective, that it was time to move on, actually. And that it was a new beginning that actually took you in a very new direction. I felt this was catalytic by nature in terms of the success that you derived from it. And when I look at who it is that you are as a person on this bottom timeline, I see an ultra-focused person who works very well independently. You are a team player where you need to be, but actually you're a born leader, and you're a born leader to lead your own show. I felt that you works best when you're actually working solo. Free from complications, free from small-mindedness for sure. But I felt that there was something very independently orientated in terms of the kind of success that you could derive. So you're either working at the top and leading others in a way that navigates, I guess, a perspective or an objective that's based on you being in control, like you're the maestro, or you're working independently within business. So that could be your own business. It could be freelancing. It could be contract work in a way where you actually have some distance from a complicated backdrop of players. Like you need detachment. You need the independence. You need the space to be able to just get on with it, because you're thinking big picture. And this other person that I'm looking at, by nature, their insecurity keeps them where they're at. I mean, it's sort of like it's an orbit close to their insecurity. So they're not actually succeeding within their own right, because at the end of the day, they're only sabotaging themselves. So I feel good things are here for you in terms of the outcome, and I see you navigating this very successfully. I hope this reading has made some sense, and if it has, feel free to leave some comments down below. It'd be great to get your feedback. Like and share this video where you can. Hit subscribe. Tap on the bell icon. That'll give you notifications for any future readings that I post. And if you're interested in the services that I offer as a psychic tarot reader, you can go to www.tonyfoxtarot.com. Plenty of information about who it is that I am, what it is that I do, and how it is that you can access my service as a psychic tarot reader. Thanks very much and take care.